I don't really like baggers. If you've watched this channel for any amount of time, you know that statement is true. I've got a lot of reasons why I don't like them. They're big, they're heavy, they don't do well at low speed maneuvers, they're not nearly as fun to ride on twisty roads as something like a Dynaglide or a Sportster is. They're expensive, and they're just like saddled with all of this technology and features and just junk, in my opinion, that I think takes away from the sort of core and essence of what a motorcycle should be. Big fairings and Bluetooth radios and heated seats and heated grips and cruise control and built-in satellite navigation. Just all of this stuff that makes a bike less like a bike and more like a car. A lazy boy sofa on wheels is what I often call them. So, if that's how I feel about them, why is there one right in front of me? And why have I bought one? This isn't a customer's bike. This is mine. Let's talk about it a little bit. You can see, obviously, there's a motorcycle slightly out of focus right in front of me. Let's put the camera on it. I'll show you what I bought, tell you why I bought it, and just kind of tell you what my plans for this big red bagger are in my life and on this channel. So here's the bike. This is a 98 Road King. It's FL bike, the biggest bike that Harley makes. The only thing that could possibly be bigger than this is like an Electroglide, which is the same motorcycle except with a big front fairing. It's part of why I bought this instead of an Electroglide. I don't like the front fairings on the motorcycles. I don't like not being able to see the ground kind of right in front of me. But this actually isn't so bad. One of the cool things about doing motorcycles as a business is that I get to ride a bunch of different bikes without having to plunk down the cash to own them. Customers who bring me their various motorcycles. And there's been a few of those over the last, year or so that have somewhat changed my opinion on the big FL bikes. Two of them specifically, Mr. Hans's 75 FLH and my buddy Paul, who brought me a 1970 FLH back in the summer. Both of those bikes are sort of older versions of what this is. And in fixing and spending some time on those bikes and riding those bikes, I kind of grew to appreciate this style of bagger a little bit more than I used to. So with this being a 98, this is the last year of the legendary Harley Davidson Evo V-twin engine in the FL platform. The Softails kept it for 1 year longer into 99, but in 99 the big bikes like this all received the twin cam, which I am not a fan of. This, however, is still mechanical simplicity, probably evolved to its finest form in a domestic motorcycle, in many people's opinion. This is still a single cam, no tensioners, no timing chains, just push rods, camshaft, overhead valves in a V-twin, torquey, fairly reliable power plant. This bike's pretty dry. You look around it and find there's not too many leaks going on here. Oil pump area seems pretty high and dry, which is good. And looking around underneath, nothing's really dripping onto the ground. I understand it's a little hard to see here without any extra light down there. The rear cylinder base gasket does have a slight leak to it, just very gently seeping, but that's not too big of a deal. And the 5-speed also seems pretty dry. Clutch feels good. This thing shifts easily. Neutral's easy to find. Red paint on this bike seems like it's in pretty good condition for the age. Keep in mind, this is nearly a 30-year-old girl here. But somebody has very clearly loved this thing and taken care of it during its life. It's not really anything glaringly wrong from an aesthetic perspective, as long as you can get over it being
a big ugly bagger. But honestly, I kind of like this thing. I don't think it looks too bad. It has a big Mustang seat, which my wife appreciates. A backrest, luggage rack. I don't like the luggage rack, but she insists that it stays. As well as these leather Mustang covers for the hard bags. The hard bags are quite nice. A lot of space in there for plenty of stuff. Personally, I like the front light setup on these bikes a lot. They remind me a lot of a 70s FL with the road lights and the orange lights hanging down. I prefer this a lot to how some of the other bikes from the 90s are, wherein they have the big ugly orange turn signals hanging down from the handlebars. This on a big bike like this looks a whole lot nicer to me. If this was a small bike like a Sportster or a Super Glide, I would just rip the turn signals off entirely, but on a full big bike like this, having turn signals is actually pretty nice.
Speaking of lights, all of the lights work. High beams, low beams, etc. Turn signals go in both directions. And I think this is a good looking front end on one of these bikes. More importantly than that, though, is the fact that I pulled the side covers back and the seat off of this bike before I bought it and looked at all of the wiring. I don't feel like taking it apart right now for the camera, but everything in this bike is stock. All of the wiring has been untouched. There hasn't been anyone in there messing around with scotch locks and butt splices and wire nutted stuff together trying to add an aftermarket fairing or add an aftermarket radio. It's all still looks factory stock wiring, Deutsch connectors, the way it should be. Believe these are the factory knee knocker beach bars with factory controls, so someone hasn't gone and added a set of ape hangers and hacked up the handlebar wiring on this thing either. So that was pretty important to me before I bought this thing, and I'm happy with how all that looks.
The other side of the engine is as dry as the A side, as you might call it. Chrome primary cover. Rubber on that one floorboard starting to peel up a little bit, but no big deal. Though you might notice these interesting looking petcocks hanging down on the left side of the bike. Yep, it's fuel injected. It's hard to see there behind the air cleaner in between the rocker boxes, but there's some fuel injectors in there. This bike has the Magneti Marelli fuel injection system. This is a fuel injection system that Harley ran for not too many years, 4 or 5 years or so. A lot of people don't like this fuel injection system, and in all honesty, I'm probably one of them. My buddy Chris, who's one of my absolute best friends in the entire world, has this on his 01 Electroglide. It's okay. They will sometimes lose their idle and need sensors like kind of relearned. There's some issues with the injectors themselves occasionally. Throttle position sensor, there's an inlet temperature sensor, a crank sensor. All of this can cause troubles. But I'm looking at this from a positive perspective, wherein this will be a learning platform for me. I don't know too much about the Magneti Marelli system other than just the one bike I've ever worked on with it, and then from talking to others too. It's all just kind of hearsay, not actual first-hand experience. And so my plan with this is, as long as it's running well, I'm going to keep it running well and try and continue to run the fuel injection and learn how to work on this particular EFI setup. That way, when a customer calls me and says, "Hey Paul, I've got a 2000 model, it's got a Magneti Marelli EFI on it, no one else knows anything about it, can you help me?" Instead of saying what I have to say right now, which is, I don't know too much about it, but I can try, I can say, yeah, I've had that on my bike for the last 2 years. I know what to do. So I'm going to order the right appropriate factory shop manual for this thing and take this as a learning experience. It'll be good content for YouTube, and perhaps maybe eventually y'all might watch an episode of me taking it off and putting a CV carburetor on. I think that might be something people want to see. For now, however, it seems like it does pretty well. Brand new bike. I've only had it for 3 hours as I'm filming this video, so that remains to be seen. But fires right up, goes down the road well. Let's go ahead and start it up now. Neutral light works, oil pressure light works, the check engine light up in the dash works. Hear the fuel pump run down in the tank. She's alive. Engine itself is pretty darn quiet. So, a shovel head it is not. Honestly, I think a carbureted Evo sounds better than this too. I think part of the reason for that is that, A, this is still a little bit cold. I just let it sit here and idle for 2 or 3 minutes off camera. And B, that the fuel-injected bikes use a divided plenum intake manifold instead of a single plane intake manifold. So you don't get that reversion kind of talk back bouncing between the cylinders. Of course, this does have dual exhaust pipes that, you know, Y off behind the cylinder heads. And that gives a little bit different sound from that classic, you know, shovel head drag pipe, galloping horse brum 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 that we're so used to here on this channel. I don't know. It's not the classic Harley sound to me. It doesn't sound bad. I do like that this is fairly quiet, in all honesty. It could even be a little quieter and I wouldn't complain. This is a bike that for me is very, very different from what I usually like and usually own. And I'm trying to just kind of embrace it and accept it for what it is and give it a fair chance. So, why in the world did I buy this thing? And what is wrong with it, because there's something wrong with every bike, right? And what are my plans for it? Well, the first thing sort of wrong with this bike is that it has 60,000 miles on it. That initially to me was too much. I was like, I don't know. Having now stopped and kind of thought about it, it's almost a 30-year-old bike. That's basically 2,000 miles a year. And it looks like somebody has taken care of it and maintained this thing very well during that 60,000 mile lifetime. I get a lot of bikes here that people bring me to do like sort of wake ups on, resurrections on, that might only have 6 or 8 or 10 or 12,000 miles on the clock, but then are in way worse shape than this thing because they've just been sitting around for so long not being used. Someone obviously has used this bike, but they've also loved it and taken care of it. With that being said, the owner of the bike currently bought it from the original owner. It was his neighbor. The original owner passed away. The guy I bought it from, the second owner of this bike, then didn't know any of the maintenance history on this. I asked him if he knew, what has or hasn't been done. Has this bike ever had a top end rebuild, for instance? Evos will go through top ends sooner than, say, a twin cam. I asked him about, has the cam bearing ever been done? He just didn't know. So I believe that this bike probably has the INA cam bearing in it, the inner cam bearing. So that'll be something fairly high on my list of things to fix. So y'all get to watch doing that on this channel. I'll probably go ahead and throw a different cam in this while we're there. Maybe like, I think it's the EV13 Andrews cam or the V Thunder EVL, what's it, like 3010. One of the sort of more mild aftermarket cams, along with a set of lifters and adjustable push rods. And yeah, I think that'll make some good content on this bike. Other things that are wrong with it. Obviously, the Magneti Marelli fuel injection. We already talked about that and what my plan is for it. Finally, this bike does need some tires. They are in good shape. They're not dry cracked or anything. They're not wore out, but they are from 2011, which makes them, 15 years old at this point in time. I've been around the block a few times on it. It feels okay riding it right now, but I don't know. I don't chance it on tires. Tires are fairly cheap. So that kind of gets us through everything that's quote-unquote wrong with the bike. Let's talk about why I actually bought this thing, and I will talk about price kind of a little bit on this bike too during this episode. A lot of y'all know I've been Evo shopping for a little while now. I've been saving up cash for the last couple months, putting some aside every single month, every job I do, and putting aside YouTube ad revenue checks, till where I had some money to actually seriously shop for Evos. And when I started Evo shopping, I started with Dynaglides and Softails. Those were my two. I wasn't interested at all in buying an electric glide, and Road Kings weren't really on my radar at all. I looked at some FXRs briefly, but the price on those is just more than I wanted to spend at this point in my life. And I wasn't really looking for this bike. I just came across it. It seemed pretty nice. The guy was very nice, and the price was right. We talk about a $5,000 budget fairly often on my channel. I use that number a lot because I think that that's like a regular working class Joe or Jill cash number that most regular working class people can come up with in a fairly short amount of time without affecting their day-to-day financial situation, and then go spend $5,000 on a used Harley. I could have bought this bike almost twice with $5,000. So I won't say exactly what I paid for it, but yeah, I could have bought this bike basically 2 times with $5,000. Not quite, but really, 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 really close to that. As to why I picked this over a Softail or a Dynaglide, the biggest reason I bought an Evo wasn't the one you're thinking of. You're probably thinking I bought an Evo because I'm always wrenching on my shovel head, blah, blah, blah. There's some truth to that. I did want to buy something a little bit where the wrench to ride ratio is skewed more in favor of riding and less in favor of wrenching. The biggest reason I bought this bike, though, was for 2-up riding. My wife's ridden on my Sportster once, wasn't real crazy about it. She won't ride on the shovel head, can't really blame her, but she wants to go ride with me. So I started looking for Evo bikes that we could go places on together, and when I showed her this versus some of the Softails that I had been looking at, she said, that's it. That's the one, that's what I want. I like the big seat, I like the backrest, I like the luggage rack. She loved the hard bags because she could put a bunch of stuff in them. And I kind of explained to her, I said, you know, this will ride better than a Softail too, and she was sold. So that kind of got me looking for Road Kings. And here we are. This is what I have. Not something I ever thought I would own. Finally, we're going to sort of close this video out with letting y'all watch me go ride this thing around the block. I threw my GoPro on my helmet camera, jumped on this thing, and took it for some quick miles around the block, 4 or 5 miles. Nothing crazy. Thought y'all might enjoy that. I know a lot of people like to watch bikes get ridden and listen to it, and you'll get to hear some of my thoughts about things I do and don't like about it. Handlebars are probably my biggest thing I don't like. These sort of beach bar knee knockers at slow speed situations put my hands too far down. I want my hands up a little bit more. So that'll probably be the first, if only, thing I change on it. This highway bar, this crash bar, I'm undecided about it. I don't like it from an aesthetic perspective. I'll be completely honest with you though, I dropped this bike the second I got it off the trailer, like within the first minute of getting it off the trailer, because I was trying to go through my front yard, which is full of ice and mud and snow, and obviously motorcycles don't do well in that. And I just very slowly kind of tipped over on it as the back end slid out on me, and the crash bar did its job. The bike didn't fall over too far. Nothing happened. Everything was fine. I was fine. Bike was fine. I just got off, laughed, picked it back up, and went about my day. So, I don't know. Maybe the crash bars have earned a right to stay. Anyways, we'll cut to me riding this thing around, and then I'll come right back to here, and we'll wrap this up. Alright, so, let's go for a ride. Fires right up, as you would hope, being a fuel injected bike, right? But you hear that little cough in it. Could be an intake leak, could be this Magneti Marelli injection playing some of its tricks that it'll sometimes do. Sometimes they'll sort of lose the idle, so to speak. I've heard that you can reset like the throttle position sensor and reset some other stuff, and sometimes it needs to be I don't know, some sensors not recalibrated, but just kind of relearned. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. It's the very first ride ever, other than to get the thing off the trailer and on the trailer, and I just went around the block at the guy's house before I bought it. I'm gonna be slinging some dirt and mud off these tires because, as y'all can see from the road ahead, we are have finished one snow and ice storm with another one coming tonight / tomorrow. Quite unusual for South Carolina to get this much freezing precipitation, especially to get it twice, like while it's still on the ground from the last time. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the road here, adjusting mirrors, try and dodge the majority of this ice before we use any brake at all. The seat height on this thing is actually fairly good. I'm short. I'm like 5'6". I'm not flat-footed right now, but I've got both feet down and I'm on the balls of both of my feet, so I'm not tippy-toeing it, which is nice. Clutch takes out, I don't know, about where you think it might. Slid the tire there a little bit, probably still some dirt on it. Gonna take it slow and easy, but that's kind of what these things are for, right? This isn't a sport bike, it's a touring bike. Like a lazy boy sofa on wheels. Comfortable. Don't really feel the road too much, you know. I probably could have ridden through all that crap right there in the road and been okay. Like right there at the end of that bridge, that's something that on a Sportster or a FX bike, you feel it a little bit. It's not too bad on my shovel head, but I feel it on the Sportster. Anything with a rigid frame, obviously, gonna beat you up a whole lot more. But yeah, I'm just kind of loafs its way down the road. I'm not going to go very far since I don't have registration or insurance on this yet, and so obviously I don't have a tag on the back. At least I don't think there's a tag. I wasn't really paying that much attention. Might be an old expired tag or something on this thing, but I'm not legal. But I had to go around the block, and I knew y'all would want to hear it run and see it go down the road. Good brakes. Actually, pretty decent acceleration. Man. It's not a rocket ship, but it'll get out of its own way. I'm surprised. I didn't, like I said, I just kind of went around the block with the thing before I bought it, just to make sure it ran road, shifted, and stopped. I didn't really get going very fast or get on it very hard. And some of these Evo bikes that I've ridden are a lot loafier than this. That was fairly snappy for what it is. Like I said, it's not a rocket ship, but I'm happy with that amount of power. Taking it real easy on these turns because I'm still unfamiliar with this thing. Ride's nice. This is comfortable. It's not the most exciting ride, but most big bikes aren't. This isn't what I would jump on if I want to go, if I wanted to like go have fun. I guess that would make sense. Maybe that's the best way to put it. Any motorcycle is fun. This is just less fun than smaller bikes, to me. Actually, I'm not crazy about these handlebars, like at slow speed. They're like too low and like knee knockery, like old flathead knuckleheads. But going down the road, this actually isn't so bad. I would like my, I don't know. I would like some kind of a change. I'm turning the bike more with my body than I am pushing and pulling the bars counter steering. I don't know. Again, this is just my very first initial impressions of this thing. So like right here where I'm purposefully taking it really slow, I feel like my hands are too far back. I want my hands to be, I don't know. I think I want my hands to be more like here. I'm not saying I want to put apes on this thing, but maybe like a set of buckhorns. I don't necessarily know that they're too far back as it is that they're too far down. I think maybe I want my hands up more parallel in line with my chest. I'm gonna ride this a while as it is though. So there you go, around the block, couple miles, 4 miles, whatever it is. Live, real-time thoughts. Okay, so you got to see kind of my live action, live real-time thoughts about riding this thing for essentially the very first time. And you'll get to watch me live with this thing for the next however long I own it on this channel and see what I end up thinking about it. Like I said, I want to give this thing a fair shake. It's outside of my comfort zone. It's outside of what I usually like. It's not what I thought I would end up with when I went Evo shopping initially, but it's what I have. And I like it so far. I don't know. There's definitely some stuff I don't like, and there's some getting used to it, and it is big and it is heavy, and it's not that cool. But if Tiffany's happy riding around on it, and we get to go make some memories on it, and I get to go do some trips on this thing instead of just being wrenching on stuff all the time. Right now I'm so busy, I can't even think about working on my own stuff. I'm completely covered up with everybody else's bikes that are in my shop right now, and it's still January as I'm filming this. Y'all will see this, I don't know when, maybe February. I have to think that once it gets warm, I'm going to be even busier and have even less time for my own projects. So hopefully I'll be able to just get on this thing and go ride and take my wife with me and go make some memories and go have some fun. So y'all will get to watch me do Evo things more regularly on this channel. I know people ask for that. You'll get to watch me live with the bagger to some extent on this channel, while also continuing to watch me live with an iron head, a shovel head, and a pin head. And just like you'll get to keep watching me work on everybody else's bikes too. So, see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in for Road King things. Hey, that kind of rhymes. See y'all later. Bye.